Hi guys, welcome to Get Real Life TV. This is where we talk about African culture, traditions and religion. I thank you all for watching my videos. I thank you all for your support, both in cash and in kind. Especially to my members, I thank you all for showing your support to me through the membership platform. Please, if you want to become part of my members on this platform, kindly click on the join button down below to choose any categories of your choice. Thank you as you do that. So today I have another topic for you, and the topic is, who is a Babalawo? Who is a Babalawo? Of course, you must have been hearing about that. You know Babalawo, you have been hearing about Babalawo, Babalawo, Babalawo. In this video, I am going to put you through some of what you need to know about this word Babalawo. So, as I told you in my previous video, I said that this is a beginner class for those who want to understand Ifa. So, as you know that this is an academia video, so I will be putting you through a test that I have, that I've compiled. So that's what I will be using to explain who Babalawo is to you. So let's get started. So, who is a Babalawo? That is exactly what we are about to start talking about in a moment. Who is a Babalawo? This is what we all know. We have been hearing about Babalawo. So let's get started as we unfold who Babalawo is. So a Babalawo is a traditional priest or diviner in the Yoruba religion and Ifa tradition, or you can say Ifa religion or Ifa spirituality. The term Babalawo translates to father of the secret, Babalawo, or father of divination in the Yoruba language. So when we say father of secret, father means Baba, then secret is the Awo. You know, you can as well say father of mystery. So Babalawo. And the father of divination. The divination means that the way at which Yoruba people consult with Olodumare through Ifa divination. So Babalawo is the one in charge of this divination, and that is why we call them father of divination in Yoruba language, Babalawo. So you know who Babalawo is, and it's not just to know the divination, right? So there are more other things for you to know when we say this is a Babalawo. And let's continue so that I will take you through the information that you need to have about who Babalawo is. So let's continue. So these priests, that is, we are talking about Babalawos, are highly trained and knowledgeable in the sacred text, rituals, and practice of Ifa and Odù Ifá. So sacred text here means the symbols. So that is exactly what this means, that the priests are highly trained and knowledgeable in the sacred text, because texts are like signs. So that is why we say text. So they are just symbols, they are signs at which we communicate to the Orishas and to Olodumare. It's the way we know the information from the Odù Ifá. So the custodians of this information are those that we call Babalawo. So, and they are priests, Ifa priests. We call them Ifa priests. So these priests are highly trained and knowledgeable in the sacred text. That is, the sacred symbols, the sacred signs, rituals, and practices of Ifa. So they are highly knowledgeable in terms of offering sacrifice to the Orishas, and they're performing some certain rituals, right? So, and that is why we say knowledgeable in the sacred text, rituals, and practice of Ifa. So the revelation of Odù Ifá is done through Ifa divination, through Ifa divination system. Then after the revelation of the Odù Ifá, so Babalawo performs rituals, performs ebo, as you may wish to sound, because for those of you who are not Yorubas, you may have a problem in pronouncing the word ebo. So we call it ebo. Okay, so and the practices of Ifa and Odù Ifá. So the practice of Ifa is how we praise Ifa, how we appease Ifa. So that is how Babalawo practice Ifa. So the appeasement of Ifa, the chanting of Ifa stanzas, and all that is what we call practices of Ifa. And Babalawo normally celebrate their Ifa annually. Some usually appease their Ifa as well on a regular basis. And Odù Ifá. So these priests are highly trained and knowledgeable in the sacred texts, rituals, and practices of Ifa and Odù Ifá. So let's continue. So Babalawos are responsible for performing divination and providing spiritual guidance to individuals and communities. So Babalawo are responsible for performing divination and providing spiritual guidance to individuals and communities. So what that is saying is that Babalawos are the ones in charge of carrying out divination with the use of what is called ikin or okpele. So Babalawo is in charge of that. So Babalawo, Baba Awo. So the Baba, the father of mystery, or father of secret, or father of divination. So they are the one in charge of casting Ifa. So they are the father of divination. They cast Ifa for you to understand the messages of Ifa. So let's continue. You are going to get more information about who Babalawo is. So let's continue right there. So they are considered intermediaries between humans and the Orishas, the deities of the Yoruba pantheons. So Babalawos are the intermediaries. They are the intermediaries because it is believed that we individuals, we human beings, cannot have direct access to these Orishas. Like take for instance now, if you don't know how to appease Ogun, you can't just go to Ogun for appeasement. So Babalawo are considered the intermediaries between humans and the Orishas. So we have about 401 Orishas, and Babalawos are the ones who understand how to appease these Orishas. So and that's why they are considered intermediaries between humans and the Orishas. So the Orishas are the deities of the Yoruba pantheon. So this is why it is not possible for anybody to come out to say I'm a Babalawo, because there is a process you have to follow before you can become a Babalawo, which I'm going to discuss in the course of this video. So Babalawo is the intermediary, or is an intermediary between us and the Orishas, between individuals who are not Babalawo. We have other Orisha priests and priestesses, but Babalawo, they are the intermediaries. They connect us with the Orisha, and that is why we go to Babalawo to cast Ifa for us. And after the revelation of the Ifa comes out, the Babalawo will tell us, will recommend the Orisha to appease, and it's the job of the Babalawo to talk to Orisha on our behalf, to talk to the Orisha on our behalf by way of appeasement, by way of performing sacrifice. Okay, so that's why we say Babalawos are the intermediaries between the Orisha and individuals and human beings, because all of us cannot be Babalawo. Okay, though whether we have some people who are initiated into Ifa, there are people who are initiated. Being initiated into Ifa does not mean that you have the knowledge of Ifa. Right, so there are two different things. So the Babalawos who have the full knowledge of Ifa are the ones who can talk to an Orisha on our behalf, or talk to all the Orishas on our behalf through sacrifice, through appeasement, and all that. Right, so let us continue. So let's continue. So Babalawos are believed to have the ability to communicate with the Orishas and receive their messages and guidance through the divination process. So I've said this earlier before. I said Babalawo are knowledgeable. They are the ones who understand how to communicate with the Orishas and how to receive their messages and guidance through divination process. So through divination process means that through Ifa reading. So Babalawos are believed to have the ability to communicate with the Orishas and receive their messages and guidance through the divination process. So when Babalawo cast Ifa, they communicate as they cast Ifa, they communicate with Olodumare, Orishas. So and we say Ifa is voice of Olodumare. So through Ifa divination, a Babalawo can understand the voice of Olodumare, can understand the voice of Olodumare, so that the client will be able to get an idea on how to solve his or her problem. So Babalawo, they are the ones who understand how to communicate with the Orishas through Ifa divination, through Ifa reading. So, and that's exactly what that is saying. Babalawo are believed to have the ability to communicate with the Orishas and receive their messages and guidance through the divination process. So the message is coming from Olodumare, then from Olodumare to the Orisha, then from the Orisha to us. So the Babalawo will now do the needful for your problems or for whatever you want Ifa divination for to be settled. Okay, so let's continue. So here now we want to talk about the primary tools that they use. I think in my previous video about Odù Ifá, I mentioned ikin Ifa and I mentioned sacred palm nut. So the primary divination tool used by Babalawos is the divination chain. That is Okpele. That is what we call it. Divination chain is called Okpele, or sacred palm nut, which is called ikin. And we have two different types of ikin. So there are some that are used, no, not ikin, sorry. We have two different types of palm nuts. So there is one that is being used for making palm oil, while the other ones that cannot be used for palm oil is what is the ikin Ifa. That one is the ikin Ifa. So the primary divination tools used by Babalawo is the divination chain or sacred palm nut called ikin. So I think you already know that Babalawo make use of Okpele, which is called divination chain or sacred palm nut, known as ikin. So let's move forward. So during the divination session, the Babalawo cast the ikin or chain and interpret the patterns and combination that they perform. So if you have been watching videos of how Babalawo cast Ifa, you must have seen that during the divination session, the Babalawo cast the ikin. So there is a process at which you have to follow to cast ikin or chain, which is the Okpele, and interpret the patterns. So the patterns will come out. That is a sacred test that I told you about. It's a sacred test. So when I say test, does not mean that we're talking about A, B, C, D, or we're not talking about 1, 2, 3. So it's a sign that we have on the ground, and this sign is what Babalawo will interpret the symbol. For instance, we have Ejiogbe, we have Oyekumeji, we have Owonimeji. So the Babalawo would interpret the patterns, the pattern that is the symbols that is on the ground. So, and the combination that they form. So the combination that they form is maybe you have Oyekumeji, that is Oyeku on the right, Oyeku on the left, Oyeku or Oworin, Oyeku on the right, or Oworin on the left. So that is the combination that they form. So the Babalawo will now interpret it. So during the divination section, the Babalawo cast the ikin or chain and interpret the patterns and combination that they form. So let's continue. So this process helps the Babalawo to determine the specific Odù Ifá. I think I've already said that. So the process helps, the process of Ifa divination, Ifa reading helps the Babalawo, to determine the specific Odù Ifá that corresponds to the client's situation and provides insight, recommendations, and solutions based on the teaching of that Odù Ifá. So this process, that is the process of casting Ifá, the process of Ifa reading, will help Babalawo to determine the specific Odù Ifá. So as I said in my previous video, there are 256 Odù Ifá. So during the process of the reading, a particular Odù Ifá will come out. So this Odù Ifá, however, will correspond to the client's situation. So you know the reason why you are coming to a Babalawo. So when the Babalawo divine Ifá, then a particular Odù Ifá will come out that corresponds to the client situation. So and provides insight. So the Babalawo will now provide some insight to explain to you the messages of Ifá. Then after that, it will recommend the recommendation. The recommendation is that maybe what you should be doing or what you should not be doing, and the recommendation of the sacrifice to offer. So, and so Babalawo may tell you that Ifá says that you should be initiated into Ifá, and Ifá may as well tell you the Orisha that watches over you. So the recommendation will come from Babalawo after the divination, and the solution to your problem will be revealed based on the teaching of that Odù Ifá. So the Odù Ifá already has teachings embedded in them. All the Odù Ifá have, they all have teachings embedded in them, and that's why I call Odù Ifá a pot of wisdom. So Babalawo will take from this wisdom to solve your problem, and there are solutions of how to solve whatever problems that you may have been having. So that is that. So let's move forward. So in addition to divination, Babalawos are often consulted for various spiritual and religious ceremonies, including initiation, that is Ifa initiation, marriages, naming ceremonies, and health and healing rituals. So in addition to divination, that is in addition to Ifa reading, Babalawos are often consulted. So aside that Babalawos do Ifa reading, they are equally consulted. So the job of a Babalawo is not just to do Ifa reading. It's not just to cast Ifa alone. So Babalawo are as well often consulted for various spiritual and religious ceremony. So for instance now, during Osun festivals, Babalawos can go to Osun festival to celebrate with them. During Ogun festival, Babalawo can go there to celebrate with them and to perform some tasks there, some spiritual tasks or some spiritual activities there. So it's not just for a Babalawo to cast Ifa. So Babalawo are often consulted. They are as well consulted for various spiritual and religious ceremony. So you can consult Ifa for your ceremonies as well. You can consult Ifa to come to your ceremony to rejoice with you or to pray in your ceremony, like religious ceremonies, like and all that. So including initiations. This initiation is a very important task of Babalawo because they are the one in charge of doing initiation for whoever wants to become a Babalawo. So Babalawo does the job of initiation. He is the one that will initiate you into Ifa, right? The marriages, Babalawo, they are as well in charge of joining two couples together. So Babalawos are as well in charge of that. And Babalawo can be present to give your child a name during the naming ceremony of your child. And that is why we say naming ceremonies and healing and healings rituals. If you are sick, if you are having any problem, Babalawo can perform rituals, can perform some sacrifice, can do some sacrifice for you to be healed, right? So in addition to divination, Babalawos are often consulted for various spiritual and religious ceremonies, including initiations, marriages, naming ceremonies, and healing rituals. So let's continue. They are also responsible for preserving and transmitting the knowledge and traditions of Ifa and Odù Ifá to future generations. So as you know that Ifa religion or Ifa messages are passed down from generation to generation. So it has been like this since the time Orunmila left us. So we have Babalawo. Babalawos are the living Orunmila that we have today. So they are also responsible. So they are the ones that have preserved the messages of Orunmila, the voice of Olodumare. They are the ones, the Babalawos are the living Orunmila that we have on earth today. So they are in charge of all these messages. So they are also responsible. So as this is saying, they are also responsible for preserving and transmitting the knowledge and traditions of Ifa and Odù Ifá to future generations. So the Odù Ifá, Babalawos are the preservers of this Odù Ifá. They are the preservers of this own of this Odù Ifá. Okay, so they are also responsible for preserving and transmitting the knowledge and traditions of Ifa. So they transmit the knowledge of Ifa from one generation to another, and that's why they have Ifa apprentice. Ifa apprentice, they are the ones learning Ifa from a Babalawo. So if you want to learn Ifa, you have to be with a Babalawo for some years. So for you to be able to understand the knowledge. So it's not what you can learn from afar. So what we are doing here is just for us to make you, to give you some insight into some terminologies in Ifa religion or Isheshe. So that is exactly what we are doing here. But if you want to learn Ifa, you want to know Ifa, you want to be able to cast Ifa for people, do Ifa reading for people, you have to be with a Babalawo for some years. So that they can be able to transmit the knowledge of Ifa into your life. So let's continue. Babalawos undergo extensive training. This is very important. You have to take this one very serious. So you can't just come out and say you are a Babalawo. So Babalawos undergo extensive training and initiation process that can span several years. The training includes studying the sacred symbols of Ifa, learning the rituals, and developing a deep understanding of the cosmology and philosophy of the Yoruba religion. So Babalawos undergo extensive training. So it's not just calling yourself a Babalawo without undergoing an extensive training. And when we say extensive training, you have to at least be with a Babalawo for 5 years. You have to serve a Babalawo for at least 5 years. You have to be an apprentice of a Babalawo for at least 5 years for you to be able to understand the system of Ifa divination, how to offer sacrifice, how to do initiate, all sorts of information, because we call it Orisha of wisdom. Ifa is an Orisha of wisdom. Orunmila is an Orisha of wisdom. Orunmila is an Orisha of wisdom. So before you can get this wisdom, you have to live with a Babalawo for at least 5 years. If you cannot live with him, but definitely you must be seeing him at least in a week, like 5 times in a week or 4 times in a week. You have to be going to him, spend some time with him for you to have this extensive training. So Babalawo undergo extensive training and initiation process. So before you can be called a Babalawo, apart from the fact that you have the knowledge of Ifa, you need to be initiated. So you have to undergo an initiation process that can span several years. That is, the knowledge, the extensive training can span several years. Then the training includes studying the sacred symbols of Ifa, learning the rituals, and developing a deep understanding of the cosmology and the philosophy of the Yoruba religion. So let's move forward. So it is respected. It is a respected and honored role. This is very important as well. So it is Babalawo is a respected and honored role within the Yoruba community. And Babalawos are highly regarded for their wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual abilities. So let me talk to you on this. We say knowledge is power. If you are highly knowledgeable and you have wisdom, you are more powerful than someone who is holding a gun in his hands, right? So that is why Babalawos are highly respected, because we see them as a representative of Orunmila, and Orunmila is a representative of Olodumare. So Babalawo, they are highly respected. You will not see a Babalawo, showing himself to be a powerful person or feeling too big. you know, but people respect them. People respect Babalawo just because of their wisdom, just because of their knowledge. Okay, so not just because, oh, he's spiritual, it can harm me spiritually or that. No, because of the knowledge and wisdom they have, because of the kind of job they do. That is why they are highly respected and they are highly honored in Yoruba land, you know. So thank you very much. I think this is the end of this video. You know, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I've been able to explain who Babalawo is to you. If you have any contribution, you can make use of the comment section to contribute. If there is anything that is being said that you are not comfortable with, please kindly, respectfully, you know, share your own opinion in the comment section, right? So I thank you all guys for your love, for your kindness, for watching my videos, and for everything that you are doing. May Olodumare continue to love you all. May Olodumare continue to bless you all. Ashe. Thank you and get a better life.